What is going on, guys? Thank you for joining me. I hope you're well. We are here. It is the 4th of the 2nd now. Oh my god, we're in February of 2016, Colin.
Yeah, it's hard to believe the year is going by quite as fast as it is.
It is. It's my birthday in 11 days, so anyone who wants to send me a card, you better get it over soon.
Do you like your checks
Nobody
made out to
cares.
cash?
I do, Colin, yeah. Just cash will do. In fact, no, because it's like a mission and a half to cash a check in Norway, so just put straight in my bank.
Oh, okay.
Ryan, what are you buying me?
My sheer presence and joyful happiness.
I can't wait for my birthday. But we have a guest. We convinced somebody to come on this professional, this great example of how a podcast should be run. We have Mr. DerFM at DerFM on Twitter. Hello, sir.
Hi, thanks for having me on.
That's our pleasure. Basically, Colin wanted to even the stakes in terms of Americans on the show.
Well, it's important.
I told him he was allowed one week where he could pick an American, and you were the choice. So congratulations.
Oh, wow, I really appreciate it. I beat out some other good Americans.
Can I just confirm that I didn't say that before some random American people messaged me saying I can't believe you only dedicated 1 week to our great country. Remember to send the abuse to @FM_young.
Thanks. Remember to subscribe.
Yeah, don't forget to subscribe and follow. There's an old second yellow card joke people might understand. But are you ready to talk some football manager with us, Mr. Dare?
Absolutely.
I am going to call you Mr. Dare. I do know your name, but I just want to call you Mr. Dare because it just sounds awesome.
Can we just
I
clarify?
appreciate
Do you even know what dare means in German?
I literally have not got a clue.
Oh, you're absolutely useless. It means
But what does
the.
it mean?
The.
Oh, so it's pretty much the same as in Norwegian then.
Yes, the
Pretty much.
FM.
Yeah, but I'm not going to call him some Mr. The FM. What sounds cooler? Do you want me to call you Mr. The FM or would you prefer Dare FM?
Der FM would be nice.
Exactly, Ryan. So get back in your hole.
I just wanted to clarify you actually knew your languages.
Well,
Clearly
pretty
you
much
don't.
not. I live in a country where I can only speak like a quarter of it, so... Right, we're going to move on before the barrage of my language skills continues. Colin, are you ready, sir?
Always ready.
Fantastic. We're going to start with saves just because, well, if anyone who follows me or talks to me or is on the group will know that I am pretty much addicted to my save to the extent where I'm not at the point anymore where I'm kind of slowing down so I'm matching YouTube, etc. And people watching on YouTube are a good season behind me now, so I'll try not to spoil too much. But we're going to actually go to Colin first because this man has some exciting times ahead. So how's it going, Colin?
So right now, if you're following along on YouTube, it's going pretty fantastically. So we're bopping along in the automatic promotion spots. We also just came off, so I think it was today's episode featured, we actually hit our goal for the season. So my goal in our second season was I really wanted to get to the third round of the FA Cup and get a shot at playing in a Premier League team. I had no illusions that we were going to do anything useful against them. I just wanted the money because, frankly, financially we really desperately needed it, and we did. So we managed to get through Gillingham, and we managed to wallop FC United of Manchester just for fun.
Yeah, thanks.
No problem. And then we ended up going to Stamford Bridge to play Chelsea. And thankfully, we enjoyed the beating that we took as we were rolling around on the bus in our piles and piles of money that we took home with us. So that was at least comforting in that one. So overall, we've picked up some significant financial stability to the club, which was huge. It's allowing me to look at some potential investments into the infrastructure of the club and kind of better prepare us to keep going higher in the English system. So I think we need to do some more work if we're going to start realizing player potential at a League One, Championship, and all things willing Premier League level. So we're looking at some investments in there, but it's been a great season so far. We're hanging tough. the team seems to be totally up for it. I think we're looking good to keep going. I'm hopeful that promotion happens at the end of the season, and next year we're talking about League One.
I think it's exciting to think you've took this small club sitting in Cornwall with basically no stadium, a couple of fans who turn up, and let's be honest, they only go because they don't want to sit home with the wife.
I don't know. The beer's pretty good.
The beer is not bad, but you've somehow turned this small little dingy club into like promotion challenges into League One, where you're going to be up against clubs who are battling to get into the Championship. I think it's hats off to you for that, and it's a series. I think we discussed this the other day, that we both seem to have landed at FM16 and just hit the ground running in terms of we both have unbelievable saves which we loving.
Yeah, no, I haven't been this attached to a save in FM that I can remember, and I think this is the longest I've kind of gone without a meltdown at a club or a sacking. So it's pretty awesome in that respect as well. But yeah, I'm suffering sort of the same problem as you. Is I'm starting to get reasonably far ahead of where the recordings actually are. So I'm trying to kind of throttle things a little bit, but I love getting in and playing and seeing things and checking everything out with the squad. So this is an absolute blast to watch and play.
I mean, I think one thing I would say for people who, I know there's a couple of guys who listen to this who also watch the series. This weekend is double upload weekend. Next weekend's double upload weekend. That's guaranteed. But it is kind of good to get a little bit ahead, and it's a question which we can go to our guest on, because I mean, obviously this weekend, for example, tonight I've come home from work, jumped straight on do this, and I'm back at work first thing in the morning. So it's going to be a couple of days before I get to play FM, so it's nice to have kind of a backlog that you can fall back on. How sorry about that. How do you go around recording at the minute, Mr. Dad? Do you get far ahead, or are you kind of just a day or two ahead?
Well, I'm looking at it right now. I really, because I knew I was coming on, I had to make sure I got episode 45 out, so I don't, spoiler alert or anything like that.
Stuttgart series.
Yes, sorry. And I've got probably 2 or 3 deep each, because I work from a home office, so when I'm home... So when I'm home, it's a little slower. I catch up quickly, but then when I travel, I'm gone for a week or two at a time. So I pre-record a lot, so that when I'm out and about, I just have to log into the web, the Wi-Fi in a hotel, and upload it, and off it goes, and I don't have to worry about it for a week.
Oh, imagine, Colin. Seriously, sit back for a second, Colin. Mm-hmm. Me and you both live with our partners. I live with 2 kids as well. Just sit back and imagine sitting in a hotel playing FM with complete silence around you.
I think that would have been promotion after promotion if I had that kind of quiet time to focus.
Although I do think turning up at the hotel with my desktop PC, my monitor, my chair, I'll probably take my table as well, just because it's got some stuff in the drawers I need. You might get a few queer looks.
Somebody is going to think you're a little off kilter, but they're going to think about that.
Football manager.
They're going to think that about you anyway.
Wait, yeah, thanks, Colin.
Hey, that's what I'm here for.
So, in terms of your save, Mr. The, do you want to, for people who may be unfamiliar, do you want to just let them know what you've got going? Obviously, you're a massive fan of German football. Maybe you can give a introduction. Screw it, let's go to the beginning. Forget about your saves for a second.
Okay.
Tell the people who you are, why you like German football, then go into your saves. The floor is yours.
Jeez, don't allow that too often. It may take a while. Well, I mean, if you watch any of my series, my name is Matthias, so I'm just by the name and the nature of everything, I'm actually a German. I mean, I know there are a few FM guys out there on Twitter that have like German acronyms, but they're actually from England. But I'm actually German and American, so the German football love has always been there since I was a child. My family actually comes from not too far away from Dortmund, so we're tried and true Borussia Dortmund fans. And I just figured I would do this. I've been doing for the last 3-4 years actually a podcast about Borussia Dortmund in English,
Which I've
and
listened to.
I appreciate that. And I've been playing FM and some other football manager type simulations before that, German ones. And I figured, hey, why not kick off a series that's very German centric, one in the saves, and then maybe just when I do tactics or anything like that, it's all out of a very German tactical school, I guess, point of view. And I don't do Borussia Dortmund where I start just because I feel like I get so emotionally involved. I may get an aneurysm at some point.
I'm not joking. I genuinely think I would enjoy watching you getting really stressed and really happy, and the passion might actually come across as a fantastic thing to record.
Well, I kind of have that with my German Journey series, where I'm starting down with Preußen Münster, my local team that I also played for in the youth. And there's a lot of emotion and frustration involved there. And obviously my goal in that series at some point to manage Dortmund. So that's when I'm going to lose the rest of my hair.
Well, I mean, you talked about blogging your tactics and the way you do it with like a German twist. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I think that comes across in the first line on your website, DerFM.wordpress.com. DerFM ... football manager with a German twist. And I was actually speaking with Guido, who runs Strikers.com, a good friend of mine. And you actually came up in the conversation. He's a massive fan of your work on your site.
Oh.
And you've done a piece on our site as well.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's such a talented writer. I really do love the articles, especially the evolving your tactics. It's something which I've been looking at doing another piece for on my tactic.
I appreciate that.
It's fantastic to read how people evolve the tactics, and I think it's really well done and definitely a piece that people need to be checking out. But when you're doing these tactical posts, do you get lost? Do you get lost in them because it just seems like the passion spills out? Is the blogging something you enjoy more than the YouTube almost?
Well, I come more from a writing background. I used to actually be an editor and a staff writer for some outdoor sports-related publications in the U.S. And I have a degree in history, so all I ever did in college was write. So that's more the background. The YouTube stuff is so new. I've been doing it now for 2 months, and I'm getting more and more comfortable with it. And but I do like the writing. It's just sometimes you gotta stop yourself a little bit when you're writing, so you don't get lost in a tangent. Because I know what I mean, but you may not be in my mind in that moment.
Well, we can jump in just so we can understand what you mean. I mean, you're going there about they've only been doing the YouTube stuff for 2 months. I mean, you've passed the 100 subscriber mark, which is fantastic for a YouTube channel with Football Manager because there's so many out there at the minute. Mm-hmm. So I think it's fair play to them. As you say, you've kind of grew into it, and I remember your first ever video. I actually watched it. And I think we actually discussed as it came out or just after, and I said, I've come across it, I really enjoyed it. And one of the things I put across was to maybe cut the length of them down.
Yeah.
And you've done that, and for example, episode 44, which was where you were chasing to see if you could win the title, and with Stuttgart. It's really, really good. It's a great length, really good video to watch, and it's getting the views that it deserves as well. So I'm sure you're happy that the recognition is coming over.
Absolutely. And if you like short videos, don't watch the next one that's going to come up because that's my season review. So it's a little longer. It's a little longer. I'm not going to lie.
There's nothing wrong with that on the review videos. I do myself. I stole the idea from Second Yellow Card of double uploads on the review day. So people don't have to watch the detailed review. They can just maybe watch the last game of the season and then the first game of the next season. For example, like today, there was a double upload.
I'm going to steal the same thing. Trust you, me.
I think it's the thing is, there's only so many ways you can upload and you can present certain things. And if I want to show people, like people asked, how's that guy performing or how's this one performing? Why have you done this? So now at the end of season review, I can look in and go, right, for example, it's not really a spoiler alert. The end of season 10, which has just started on YouTube, I noticed our cross completion was well off for everybody. It wasn't just one player. Every single winger had really poor cross completion. Every single defender had fantastic tackling and fantastic cross completion. So I actually went back and checked a couple of games to see exactly why that was. And it turns out a lot more crosses were connecting when they were getting played early. And it seemed when my players were taking their time to cross the ball, they were getting intercepted a lot. So is that the type of thing you look into in your review videos?
There I do a little bit of statistical analysis and explain kind of, especially I think I did it more in the season 1 review, kind of what I'm looking for and where. To a certain degree, I look at things like, hey, nobody had a mistake leading to goal except for this one guy who had like 20. Maybe I have a problem with this one guy. But it's interesting what you actually noted. I've noticed the same thing when I see my wide midfielders take their time to cross. I want to scream at them. But if they just push it and whip it in, 9 times out of 10, there's at least a clear-cut chance.
Well, so. I know. So Ryan, you're somebody who I'd like to go to when I'm discussing tactics. I've always thought that I like to get my wingers to hit the byline and then cross it in. But it just seems I'm maybe at the level where they don't have that quality. And every time they hit the byline, they then put the foot on top of the ball. They cut in, cut back, cut in, and then realise they're going to get tackled, so they fall over 2 minutes early. And you just see them like lying around, and then the opposition just kind of goes, "Oh, thank you." Ryan, when you're doing your reviews at the end of the seasons, is that type of situation things that you look into?
Yeah, my tactic that I'm using now at Fenerbahce has a lot of crossing emphasis on it, and I'm never one to go, let's get the ball as close to the byline as possible and cross it. I mean, don't get me wrong, I have the players that can do that, but I also have the players that can do exactly what DerFM said. Take a touch and whip it in from as far out as possible, and it works because it seems that people in Italy don't know how to head the ball. Turkey. So I've implemented. I know where I'm playing.
Doesn't even know where he's at.
Well, I've been to that many squads. I'm surprised I actually do know where I am.
Have you even been to Italy on this journey?
To play? Does that count?
Yeah. No.
I've been to play. I just haven't managed.
Well, if you want to trade, I'll trade you, because I've had in my videos right now in season 7 that we're on, and it comes up a bunch, is I've got an entire group of guys who are, stat-wise, attribute-wise, are god-awful with their head. And they seem to get into these matches where all they want to do is head the ball. And my wife laughs at me because I will just sit in my office as I'm working, playing and recording stuff, yelling at a bunch of virtual dudes running around, screaming at the things I'm going to do to them on the training ground if they don't cut the crap with the heading.
I love the fact that first thing you said, the wife laughs at me as I'm sat in my office working. Then you went to playing FM.
It's work. Come on.
But I think one thing that it just bamboozles me, I genuinely can't work this out, is if you sit back and think, my tactic is obviously the 4-1-4-1. Very defensive, very work in a triangle as you work your way up the pitch, and very solid. So how is it that playing an early cross works when I've only got one striker who's meant to drop into midfield?
He's just that good.
It makes no sense how more crosses connect that way than connect when we actually wait for players to get up the pitch. It appears the more players I have in the box or near the box, the less likely they get it. Go on, Ryan.
I think it's more a matter of how you set up your tactic and how the AI will try to counteract that. Because your tactic is set up to not look like you're going to have players that are going to be flooding into the box, and the teams that you play against are not going to be expecting crosses to come into the box for someone there to receive it. So
yeah,
it works. It's sort of what I do. I have one player that plays up top, but I'm not as defensive minded as Paul, though Paul did beat
It's
me
not
with his
defensive
tactic.
mind, it's called solid.
Okay, it's
It's
solid.
There is no one else who plays this game that I know of that is as defensively oriented as Paul.
Surely, yeah, but come on, it works. It's a solid tactic. The only
I'm
issue
not
is
disagreeing with you. I just laugh every time you make fun of Italian football and how defensive it is, given the fact that you're practically the standard bearer for it at this point, at least
Do
in
you know what?
FM.
I hate watching sit at the back, don't move football. Then I turn Football Manager going, right, how can we sit back? I mean, I think the best thing was the fact that this morning, Jane, our admin chap here for FM Central, message saying, did you have a good morning on Football Manager? Because I didn't start work till lunchtime. And I said, yeah, I've played 4 games, 3 of them in the league, and I hadn't conceded a goal. It wasn't telling you how many goals I'd scored, it was the fact that I had all 3 games with 3 clean sheets. My issue with my tactic, it's what I'm working on. At the end of the day, my idea is to kind of develop this tactic into something which I can then do a second post on. And instead of being the solid base, it'll be like the solid tactic. But I can actually call it a tactic instead of a base. But when I conceded earlier, I struggled to get back into the game because the tactic's designed to nullify the opponent, then hit them where it hurts when they kind of start to tire, because my team is just a workhorse team. So as soon as they start to get tired, we constantly working around them, and the more tired they get, the more mistakes they make, and then boom, we get in there, we have 5 shots, we score 4 goals, that type of thing.
So you're the opponent that I hate.
Yes, if you take Ryan for example, we played a friendly in between the online league transfer window, and somehow I beat him, and it was literally just Ryan bombarded me, and I scored 2 goals on. Was it 2 goals or 1 goal on the counter?
2 goals on the counter.
2 goals on the counter. It was literally, I'll just sit back, I'll wait for your team to get tired, then I'll just. But I don't know about you, Mister the. Actually, that's just a good. Actually, what I do is, because of the way my tactic is set up, it's set up to kind of soak in pressure. Then, as I say, when they get tired, my workhorse of a team will then slowly find the gaps. I'll find I completely dominate possession because we will pass it around and let them chase me. It's quite funny. Especially if you play a crapper team. If you play a poor team in the cup, I can literally just not give them the ball for the whole first half. Then second half, I'll come on and score 3 or 4 because they worn out. But what I wanted to ask was, what I like to do is 10 minutes into a game, it's always 10 minutes or 15 minutes or 20 at the most, depending on what highlights I've seen. I will go into the analysing screen, check out the average positions and where their passes and crosses come from. Then I will exploit the flank they are weakest on so far during that game. Is that the type of thing you like to do with the pro zone, or what's your methods early on in a game?
Well, I mean, I rely a lot on the scout reports prior to the matches, and when I do a YouTube, when it's on camera, so to speak, I've got it on extended highlights. I edit it down a lot. And if I'm doing it off camera, I actually watch it a lot of times in comprehensive, so that by, like you said, about minute 15, when statistics actually start to matter, if I'm not seeing what I want, then I pause and I go into the analytics and kind of see, like you said, where are they sitting? The area that I have the most problem with is if I'm, and obviously this is more with Stuttgart than with my German journey save, was I would just dominate teams. I would be so much better that they are parking the bus. They are Pulising me, for lack of a better term. And breaking them down just frustrates the hell out of me. And that would be something that I would then look at if it's not happening the way I want it. If everything is going okay and I'm getting plenty of quality shots, quality opportunities, then I don't really worry about it until halftime.
So it's quite interesting how you focus on the pre-game scouting. It's something which I genuinely don't look much into, apart from what formation they're going to line up with. That is literally all I will look at for that. So it's always interesting when different managers try different methods going in.
Yeah, I look at the main thing I look at is assist locations and time of conceding or scoring goals, because that can sometimes tell you, especially the time, do they press early, do they press late, or do they kind of lose their steam and concentration, especially if they have a squad with low determination. That can really help you late.
Yeah. Well, I would say, Colin, someone actually posted on FM Central this week. And I noticed it was actually something I stored it in my mind.
Okay.
You're impressed already.
You know it.
Yeah, basically...
He's impressed that you can store things in your mind.
Get a job. They basically were conceding a lot down their left-hand flank. And they would say, I've tried everything. Now, to me, it was a really simple way to get around this. If you're really struggling with your right back, and your right back has a lot of issues, personally to myself, the first thing I would be doing is putting my right back on a defensive role and the winger in front of them just as a either defensive winger or a wide midfielder to sit back. But the also key aspect there then would be to always start a game by exploiting your left flank. So you're basically keeping the ball away from that side of the pitch as much as you can, which means the opposition, if they want to exploit that, they have to spread the ball wide. They have to try the cross-field ball, and if they do that, and you've got your full-back on defensive duty, he's already going to be stationed in the right position to win the ball, and if he doesn't if he doesn't win it, your winger is also there supporting as well. And to me, that's one of the most kind of simple ways of dealing with it. A lot of people are scared to put the fullbacks on defend, but I mean, if you didn't see the post, just off that description of getting exploited at the right back area, how would you deal with that in your game?
So I've had similar problems, especially with the Truro save. The one that I encountered season 1, so last season in League 2, was both my fullbacks were god awful. So it got even harder. So normally I do something very similar. I'll go to a defensive fullback. I spend a bunch of time on limited fullbacks. I talk a little bit about that in an earlier episode this year about the problems that we're having with that. So I'll drop them down into somewhere where I'm not asking a lot of them, and they can sit in a very defensive frame of mind from the fullback piece. If it still looks like it's a problem, then I'll start pushing the wing back. Again, I will typically try and emphasize the other side of the field, or the middle of the field, depending on exactly what I'm facing and where they're strong or not strong. So as long as I have, if things are imbalanced in the sense that one side's really performing well and the other isn't, I've run into some issues with a lot of both fullbacks really underperforming. In a lot of those cases, I found that you really have to kind of go very central, or at least I've had to go very central in my tactics and my play, and that's stabilized things. It's more difficult that I found, at least with my setup, and it's something I'm working a lot as I'm moving into season 8 on, is how to create a tactic that allows me to kind of open things up, because what I find that as my wide men underperform, we sort of condense and collapse into a very, very tight unit that just sort of can't, you're not going to score on us, you're not going to break us down, but we're not going to do anything that's going to impress anybody on any given day.
It's like watching Ryan play.
Thanks.
Well, it's alright, Ryan. We're going to jump back into save talk before we're going to go into some instruction talk. But before that, I sat down earlier with Mr. Golden FM. He is coming back to the Football Manager community after a few weeks, if not a couple of months now, break from regular uploading to YouTube. So let's just head over to myself and see exactly how the discussion went. Well, Paul, thank you for joining us, also known as Mr. Golden FM.
Hello, Paul. How are you?
I'm good. I'm very good. The question is, how are you?
I'm still alive. I know there's been rumours, but I'm still around.
There was definitely rumours. I contacted the local hospitals, but there was no word. Yeah. I just phoned around every single one in the UK. I thought sooner or later one might know your name.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a long time since you had regular videos out, and I think people are excited that there's rumours on the grapevine. Are you coming back?
Everyone's excited, yeah. I don't know about that, but sometimes I wonder if people even notice that a content creator sort of vanishes for a few weeks because they just sort of, I don't know. I don't think that many people notice. Maybe the hardcore following will notice and wonder where I am, but I'm going to be back making videos hopefully the second week of February and starting a new series. Not completely destroying the GJ challenge at the moment, but it will definitely be in the background for a while. It may not come back, I don't know. I'll have to have a think. But I'm going to be starting a new series, so that's exciting.
I think it's the fact, because you've been away from recording for so long, it's kind of hard to drop back into something you were doing in the past in general anyway.
It is hard because people sort of lose interest. And then if you just come back, it's never going to be the same. Because I haven't really done the GJ challenge properly since December. So anyway, I hope other people are enjoying the concept, because I did do that Excel spreadsheet where people can play their own Golden Journeyman challenge. So I guess I've introduced that to the world, and if anyone wants to play along that way, then they can do. But I created it, and I'm failing. I've managed 2 teams, and that's it. I'm probably the worst person.
Worst person at your own event.
Yeah, maybe I'll do it on FM17. We'll see. But like I was saying to you beforehand, Paul, I've never really been a journeyman person. I've managed in various countries during my many years playing Football Manager, but never done a journeyman sort of thing. I've always stayed at a club and just travelled with them, which is, in a way, the most unrealistic way to play Football Manager, because how many managers in history have only managed one club, or even managed for, over 10 seasons? There's very, very few. But I don't know. It's just the way it is, I guess.
I think we were talking, and personally, and I think for a lot of people, really enjoyed your Chelmsford series. You won with West Ham, which was when I kind of came across the channel in more detail. So I mean, as you say, there's how many people stay in charge of one club in real life, but in Football Manager, it's kind of the chance to, here comes a shameless plug, create a legacy.
Yeah.
You get a chance to just do something spectacular with one club, and I think, me personally, I'm looking forward to seeing what you have planned when you come back. I mean, there is a rumour that you have a new computer.
There is. I'm using it right now. This is my first Skype session on the new computer, as you discovered at the start of this conversation, when I couldn't hear you because my speakers were doing something rather odd.
And how does it feel? Does it feel like it's going to eat Football Manager?
It feels
alive?
powerful. Oh,
fantastic!
Yes. No, I've tested. I've not actually played any Football Manager yet on this computer, but I have, for the last part of my Cold War experiment. I did holiday 50 years, and it did it much quicker than my old one, as you would expect. Not really quick, because by that point, when you're sort of 50 years down the line, the game files are massive, but it was so smooth, it wasn't making any noise, it wasn't burning up, just like my old one was, and I could actually do other things on my computer whilst holidaying the game, so it's a lot more effective, and RAM power much better. I will do a video on my computer, like about my computer at some point in the next couple of weeks, I think. And I'm moving house as well, so that it's an exciting time in my life, busy time. But once all that's out the way, I will be back making regular videos, hopefully.
I think it's exciting that you're moving house and getting ready to come back into the YouTube world. Does that mean we're going to have a different background?
You will, yeah.
Are you taking every single piece of furniture and putting it in the exact same layout?
That would be a bit weird. I'm going to have like my own office, I guess, in a way. Because this flat has 1 bedroom, and the new house will have 3. So I will use the third bedroom. Yeah, that's YouTube money for you. Joking, obviously. Yeah, well, we needed more space. Jenny has like 5 million books, so we need sort of 7 bedrooms just for the books, to be honest. So I'm just going to be, it's probably going to be piles of books just surrounding me in the videos.
Where's somewhere to put the puffin?
I'll be able to just read Shakespeare in the middle of a video.
That would be interesting.
That's
I mean,
culture.
I don't think I've seen YouTube streamers randomly start quoting Shakespeare and stuff.
I'm tempted. I could do some Twitch streaming and just sort of read a book in the background whilst playing Football Manager.
Now let's just hope, in this gap between this coming out and your return, no one jumps in and steals that niche in the market.
That would be harsh. I'm going to patent that right now.
If we see someone like FM Yank start quoting Shakespeare halfway through his video, we know where he got it from.
Instead of like music requests on Twitch, we could have book requests. I can start reading the Harry Potter series.
Oh, that'd be interesting. I've never read the books. I like the series though. It's quite a good Christmas thing to watch.
You have to read the books. Magnificent.
I'm going to admit something now, and just to confirm that I don't really do much reading, apart from like FM blogs.
Don't do a huge amount.
Well, there you go. That's good.
I used to when I was 14, but not now. It's Football Manager. That's the problem. I read Football Manager. There's so much reading involved on Football Manager, isn't there?
Well, that's it. I mean, I spend my time reading the screen.
Bloody press conferences takes half an hour.
Exactly. There you go. See, who needs Shakespeare when you got Football Manager?
Football Manager press conferences.
Can you just give the listeners some sort of hint? Like, do you have any idea what you're planning, just so they can kind of get prepared for it? Are we going to see Chelmsford? Are we going to see you picking?
Not Chelmsford. Maybe one day again. Maybe like in a couple of years. But it's nice to do something different, isn't it? I'm tempted to do what will be my local team. I don't want to reveal where exactly I live, but I'm going to be
kind of give it away when you take over the team.
People generally know I live in Southampton right now. I have admitted that, and I'm moving up the road to the Eastleigh area, but not actually in Eastleigh, so I won't say that.
So don't bother searching for him.
But ironically, right now where I live is closer to the Eastleigh football stadium than where I will be living, even though I'm moving to the Eastleigh area. It's strange because the Eastleigh football ground is basically Southampton. It's just slightly north of the Southampton boundary. Random fact. This is irrelevant, but yeah, there we go.
I love it. The Football Manager discussion's only about half the conversation.
I'm going off topic here. I was going to talk about my Football Manager plans, and it started talking about where I'm going to live in the Eastleigh Football Stadium. I think it's called the Silver Lake Stadium. Yeah. Well, anyway, I'm not going. I was thinking of managing Eastleigh anyway, but I think to start with, I'm going to do a big team, big European team that's not
Newcastle.
in England, and just do Newcastle. Yeah, very funny. And then just do one season, just like I did with the Arsenal one, and try and win as much as possible, just to get myself back into the game, because I haven't played properly since Christmas, which sounds terrible, and some of you are probably clawing your eyes out at the idea of not playing Football Manager for a month. But with my old computer, it was just impossible to play, and it meant that I was clawing my eyes out when I was actually trying to play Football Manager. So I'm not falling out of love with Football Manager, but I need to get back into the groove. So I'll manage a big team, I think, for 1 year. And then I've got a plan to do another series. In fact, I was thinking of 2 different ones earlier today whilst walking around. And they're different. I think probably with English teams. Now, a lot of people moan because everyone on YouTube does English teams, don't they? But the problem is that it's great to do teams outside of England or outside of Scotland or whatever, but to be honest, there's not a huge amount of interest. You start making a video, you start doing a series with a foreign team, and it starts off okay, and then people just lose interest, don't they? Because I guess the vast majority of people in the Football Manager community, I guess, on YouTube / Twitter and Facebook and that sort of thing, I'd say probably 80% of them are probably from the UK. So that's where
that's a quote and a half.
I don't know the exact figure, but the ones that are getting involved, like there's obviously hundreds of thousands of people that play Football Manager around the world, but the ones that actually get involved on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, the forums, that sort of thing, the vast majority of them are probably from the UK. Obviously, there's loads of people in Turkey, Greece, Serbia, those sort of countries. But I would say the people that actually get involved and make content, most of them are from the UK, aren't they?
Yeah, I agree.
No, you're living in Norway now, but
from
you're
the
English,
UK.
born and bred.
Yeah, I'm actually wanting to do a Norwegian save, but as you say, the interest isn't there at the minute, so potentially in the future. But yeah, I think the main thing we can take from this is that you are coming back. The big gun is back. He's pulling his self out of retirement, stroke boredom, and getting back into the community, which is you've not been away. You're still tweeting. You're still kind of lurking around in the background, kind of hiding behind a tree.
Lurking behind trees, yeah.
Yeah, I think that picture should come out of retirement as well for your return video. I think it's exciting. I'm excited anyway because obviously you're one of the people who I watch daily, so it's good that you're going to be back to entertain me.
Hopefully. Well, I hope I don't disappoint now.
Well, if you do, I'll let you know.
I've just forgotten how to talk. That's the problem.
That's fun when you come back and just stare at the camera going, I don't know what to do.
I just play Football Manager and read some books. That's what I'm going to do.
Exactly. I think what we can take from this is we're going to get Shakespeare.
I think we'll start with the Bible. That's a nice long one. That'll go on for like 200 episodes of Football Manager.
That'll cover you till FM 17.
Yeah. I think that's definitely what I should be doing.
Another book I've never looked at. So something else I can learn from your series.
Yeah.
Yeah,
maybe
but I want to
not.
thank you for coming on for this quick chat,
Thanks,
Paul.
Paul. It's been a bit of a ramble, but...
That's alright, you can't beat a good ramble.
Yeah.
And stay tuned for Mr. Golden FM. He will be back on the second week of February, which is now quartered, so he can't shy away for another week.
It's probably just going to end up being videos of me walking around my house.
Yeah, look at my house, look at my new computer.
Yeah.
FM next week. But yeah, that is it, and back to myself in the studio. Thanks, Paul, thanks for that. Ryan loves the fact that I handed back over to myself in the studio.
Very professional.
I thought so. Even this bit, this seamless link in here, it's well done, I think. But we're going to talk to you again now, Ryan, so you can continue chatting away. We're going to talk about how your save is going. Do you want to just update people how life in Turkey, or Italy, according to you, is?
Yeah, so I haven't actually gone ahead with my end of season update on the website yet because I'm trying to figure out what I actually want to put on the post. So we know that we've discussed that I'm going to look at a different style of what I'm putting on my reviews rather than just here's the table, here's the results, here's who won the awards, and that's the end of the review. So we've already discussed that Paul wants to see how my tactics are set up, which I sometimes randomly do in a random review and say this is my tactic, and then you don't see something like that until a few seasons down the line. So this is a question out to any viewers, and it's also a question to people on the show, so Paul, Colin and FM, if you want to see anything. What specifically do you want to see on my end of season review from last season? But where I am at now, so to not give anything away, I am in pre-season.
Oh, you've
well, yeah, they don't know how I ended last season, so I haven't given that away. But I am in pre-season, and I've really changed the squad. So I think we talked on the last stream about that my Turkish team, Fenerbahce, had very limited Turkish players. They had 14 foreign players, which took up all the foreign spots. So I've gone about changing that throughout this whole preseason, and I now have 15 homegrown players in the squad and 9 foreign players. So massive turnaround. I've brought in a lot of Turkish players.
That is a big turn.
A big, massive turnaround. I've brought up a couple of the under-21, so it's not. I've not just gone out and done a Barcelona going, I'll pluck you from here, pluck you from here, and I'll pluck you from here. There's been, I think, 2 of the players I've probably plucked out and gone, yeah, I'll have you because you're amazing, come to my team. But the 2 players that I bought that I really wanted, I've been chasing them since I started. So I think I've shown Paul this one player that I've bought for 2.8 million. When I first tried to bid, they they wanted something stupid like 21 million, and no, that's not happening. So I think he saw my interest and thought, how amazing this manager is, I must join him.
That must be what it is.
That is my theory. I think amazing manager. He won so much all around the world. I must go and join him. But the other one that I bought that has been a bane this whole transfer window, that I bidded 10 million, they wanted 40 million. It's gone down and down and down. Eventually, I got him for 15 million because he wanted to come and join me. He caused disruption at his squad, fell out with his manager because his manager wouldn't let him join Fenerbahce. So everybody wants to join me.
Anyone else thinks Ryan sounds a bit like Jose Mourinho?
Everybody thinks I'm amazing. I'm going to go at the next season. Next season, I'm going to win the Champions League. No, I won't do that. I don't.
Keep dreaming, Jose.
This is is this season 2 or season 3? Because that could be really important here.
Season 2 with Fenerbahce.
Oh, there's a shot he could win this year. If it was season 3, forget it. You'd be doomed.
Yeah.
Poor Jose. He does well in season 3. So he always leaves. But we'll move on. We're going to hand over to Colin for this part of the show. He's going to do some instruction discussion with Mr. Dare and Ryan. I'm going to sit back and enjoy the fact that I'm dying of illness.
Okay, so an interesting question. So we have 3, sort of regionally different areas where we're managing, right? So I'm League 2 in England right now. So Ryan is obviously in Turkey, and then you're obviously managing in the Bundesliga. So as a question, stylistically, how do you approach and how did you approach what you were trying to do at Stuttgart? So I know very early in your series you talked a lot about trying to get it set up in sort of 2 ways: the how to play Bayern and how to play everybody else sort of methodology. And what kinds of things were you thinking of? What were you looking to recreate, right? So I know from my watching of the Bundesliga, it's a wide open league. It's a very it's very quick, but it's definitely a scoring league. It's a big push, offensive, front foot goal scoring type league. Were you trying to aim for some similar pieces, or did you have a different mindset as you started creating things?
Well, first of all, I'm glad you remembered my initial 2 goals, because it reminds me that I succeeded fantastically in one of them and failed miserably in the other one. And I'll let you guess which one I failed at. Spoiler alert, I had just started season 4, and finally, Pep Guardiola has left Bayern, and I have a chance to maybe win. The problem is he's been succeeded by Luis Enrique. Ooh. So I'm screwed again. No, but basically the approach I look at it is, and you're right in your definition of the Bundesliga, it's with one exception this season being Darmstadt, because they're so below anybody's quality. It's a different football that they play altogether. But everybody else, it's some kind of version of an aggressive pressing game. Dortmund and Bayern are more out of a possession-based pressing, especially Dortmund now under Tuchel, whereas a lot of other teams are very aggressive press, like Bayer Leverkusen. They play a more aggressive version of Simeone's Atletico type 4-4-2, and then you have those that play a press on the counter. Gladbach and Ingolstadt are probably the 2 best examples of that right now. And my aim was by season 3 to have evolved my tactic and my team to get everybody playing that kind of gegenpressing, a little more tempered version of the way Klopp liked to do it at Dortmund, because that does really work, especially against teams that are a little bit below you in quality. And I had the advantage that over a couple of seasons with Stuttgart, we developed so much, and the base is so good at Stuttgart, and the expectations are so low that you've given time that you can really kind of ambush everybody. But it's becoming increasingly harder. And the only team I couldn't ambush was Bayern, because they're just crazy
Fire.
good. I think in 3 seasons against Bayern, I managed 1 draw in the league, and in my first season took them to the penalty shootout in the cup final. Other than that, I've lost every single time, and I've played them in the cup twice and the Super Cup along with the league. So that over 3 seasons was at 9 times. I've never beaten them. So.
Tagging along that, so league form and sort of against the typical. So I was watching the other day your work against Valencia.
Mhm.
So as you've evolved, as your team has evolved into the European stage, have you seen? I know that episode was really interesting to get or both episodes were really interesting to get into your head, especially when you were at the Mestalla there, as you were trying to sort of counter Spanish football. So, how have you found that aspect of your series?
Highly frustrating, because obviously if I can't beat Pep, I can't beat Valencia, and it's been proven. Apparently, that's my Achilles heel, is playing against teams like that. My biggest frustration is that the game hasn't put Gary Neville in yet at Valencia, because I would have blown them away.
We all have dreams. We all have dreams.
But yeah, it's domestically, since I uploaded episode 45, it's not too much of a spoiler alert. In season 3, we kind of ran away with the domestic league, but internationally, it kind of and I'm hoping to get past that now finally in season 4, and that's I was listening to you guys when it was, I think, Ryan, wasn't it you who was in South America and you decided forget it, it's just too foreign to the way I think of football. And that's been my problem a little bit in Europe. And I say, hey, the first 3 times Jurgen Klopp took Dortmund into Europe, they failed miserably. So I'm in good company.
No, it is a very different universe as you sort of step up, and I think to me that's some of the most fascinating aspects of watching, various different people play the game is really seeing that I have such a concrete idea of how I want to play domestically, and then all of a sudden you now have all these sort of alien ideas around, and how you respond and react to that. So on that now, so the last time we talked a whole bunch about with you, Ryan, that Santos and Brazil was alien, and you were kind of retreating back to Europe to go back to a place where you felt that your style and your philosophy was better suited. So you've had some time in Turkey. So I guess the big question is that true? Has Turkey sort of fallen back more into your comfort zone, or are you seeing different styles and aspects and and elements that you're incorporating into your sort of cookbook now?
No, so going back to Europe, it's really helped because it suits the sort of football that I like to play, which is totally nowhere near what I tried to experiment with in Brazil. I tried the Brazilian style and no, just didn't work for me. Going back to the European style of football with my own twist on 4-2-3-1 with the asymmetric formation.
I hate your asymmetry, by the way.
I know you don't like it, but it works for me. So I have to have a defensive mid in at least every formation that I have. I will back up Paul on that. Paul loves a defensive mid, so I will use a defensive mid in my formation.
You need a defensive midfielder.
You do. But that defensive mid... Go on, Paul. I'll let you
I was just going to say, just for 1 second, my defensive midfielder is, according to my staff, rated as a 2-star. Now, I know Colin wasn't too impressed with the amount of mistakes he made. Can I just say none of them led to goals, or maybe like 2 in the whole season? But he had an 89% heading accuracy, and an 89% tackle accuracy, and a 77% pass accuracy throughout the whole season. So in my eyes, that defensive mid is kicking some ass.
I will grant
you
you
can
that.
go back to you guys now. Cheers.
Okay. No problem. So anyway, back to what you were talking, Ryan, on your Turkish style.
So yes, just bouncing on what Paul says, I do have a defensive midfielder, but that defensive midfielder is not just sit in the defensive line and be friends with the defenders that you have surrounding you. The role of that defender always changes. It's based on the team that I'm actually playing. In Turkey, there are a wide variety of teams. So I have the rivalries with Besiktas and Galatasaray, but then you've got teams that I can't even pronounce, or I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce, because I might get some Turkish person chasing me saying, "You're rude, you can't pronounce these Turkish names." So I'll just try and avoid them. But you have got I'm going to put it in the way of the Premier League. You've got the teams that they can put in a very good challenge in the league. They just don't make that step up. Like you've got like the Bursaspors, and there's a team that's in there that they come third last season, and Glennebilligiligi. That's my way. That's my way of pronouncing it. I have no idea, but they're a team that really put in a very good challenge. But the teams that I'm coming up against, they're playing in a style that I know how to break down.
Okay.
Like they will play 4-4-1-1. They will play 4-4-2, which is possibly the easiest way to break down when you come against my formation. It happened in the online league that I played when the manager was kicked out. They reverted to 4-4-2, and I ended up smashing the team 7-1. So in my formation, you play 4-4-2 against me, I will break you down between the lines because you have so many gaps and my players will fill them. And
Jose's back.
goal after goal after goal.
No,
It's true.
But it is important to I think, to me, especially in FM16, I think it's so important to understand, why your tactic and why your idea sort of ticks. Not just that you put it out there and okay, you win, but why it wins and why it's important, so that you can make those adjustments. And I think it goes back to what we were talking about earlier, is that preview screen is so crucial, because I hadn't really paid attention to it in prior versions, and I find myself, especially the week against topics that come in from the scouts, because I'll look and then I'll go look at what they've played against and kind of how those things have worked to figure out, am I going to run into a problem? Do I need to get out in front of something here, or do I have another system that that can counteract what I'm going to run into and look at? But it's always good to know why your systems tick. So I wanted to cover one more big piece here, pressing. So you talked a lot about the German and the Bundesliga and the counter-pressing scheme, and Ryan, you were obviously talking about an aggressive sort of gap-filling, pushing type piece. So I'll start with Mr. DerFM here. When you set up your press, what kinds of instructions are you looking at? Are you looking more team-based? Do you find that you get too much sort of collective odd behavior? Do you look more player instructions? And what kinds of things, instruction-wise, are you looking when you're trying to set up sort of that, I don't want to say notorious, because I actually find it brilliant and fun to watch, but that sort of infamous, the German counter press?
I mean, I use relatively few player instructions because, except for situationally, if I notice my attacking midfielder gets marked out of the game, I give him specifically the roam from position and move into channels instructions to start freeing him up out of the position, and then things get a little bit better. But overall, obviously, I mean, I've been questioned once or twice because I use a lot of team instructions, and I always try to explain that all of them have a purpose to create the system of gegenpressing as I interpret it in Football Manager. Everybody has a different way they interpret things, and I watch the matches, especially in the beginning, and when I didn't record way in the beginning in the Stuttgart series, and actually a series that I did before I started YouTube, I would watch the whole match to really see how each instruction can affect certain things to have happen. And it's really about, in a gegenpressing system, is to get people up forward, so you're going to have to play a higher defensive line with an offside trap. I found if I don't play with an offside trap and I have a high defensive line, it doesn't end well for me. And to get players close to the defenders. So that means I want them to run more at defense, but I counteract them running like, headless chickens by putting in work, ball in the box, and retain possession, because if it's not on, then they pass it. And even under Klopp's system with Dortmund, that would happen. They would run forward, run at them, and if there wasn't a gap, they'd pass it sideways and try to open up a gap. But it's really about getting close to the opposition, and then when you lose the ball, pressing them. That's really all that gegenpressing is once you lose it, to go right after them. And there really are no two teams probably in European football right now that do it better than Bayern under Pep and Dortmund under Thomas Tuchel.
No, it's always interesting to see. And I'm in a similar spot. I use a fair number of instructions, and I've evolved more into trying to push more pressing. And as if you see my series, I think some of the pieces that I've tried to get into, and especially you talk a little bit about that breaking down aspect of it. For much of my series, we really haven't had quality fullbacks. So one of the things that we've really lost out on in the attack is stretching opposition defenses by adding extra width from the fullback. So overlapping runs and and just even the threat that they play. So that's helped a lot with trying to open my offensive expanse up as we go.
I was just going to say, can I just jump in there because
yes, Captain Defense.
Yeah, wow. Well, we're getting to the end of the show, unfortunately. We could run on forever, but crossing over the 1 hour mark is very frowned upon. We get them angry messages from really little fairies and leprechauns and stuff. So we best jump ahead. And what I want to do is just end by a very simple question then. How many instructions do you have? Personally, I have 11 team instructions set. So that's not that many in my opinion. How many do you have, Colin, off the top of your head?
I have 9.
9. What about you, Mr. The?
14.
14. And what about you, Ryan?
I have 9.
So it's
me
between 9
and Colin
14.
are together.
Yeah. Well, I've already thought that. But yeah, I think so. That's between 9 and 14, with me being kind of roughly in the middle. So I'm the normal one. You have too many, Mr. Then Ryan and Colin have too little.
No, but I think the point is exactly right, and I think for people listening, the absolute number isn't important. It's you have the right number for what you're trying to accomplish, and every instruction is part of creating the system you envision in it. So, the right number is the right number to create your vision on the field.
Exactly. It's again down to you play how you want to play.
Exactly.
But that's the end of the show. So I want to thank Mr. DerFM. It's at DerFManager on Twitter. It is derfm.wordpress.com. All the links will be in below. I want to do a special thank you to iTunes and SoundCloud, because for the first time since we started this, in the last 7 days on them two platforms alone we got over 1,000 views. So really appreciate it. I couldn't believe when I saw the figures. So it's fantastic that people are finding the show on iTunes and SoundCloud now. So thank you, people who are coming in from the outside world. And yeah, that's the end of the show. As always, Colin and Ryan, thank you very much.
Always glad to be here.
No problem.
And again, Mr. DerFM, really do appreciate you taking time out of your early evening to come and chat with us.
Well, I appreciate you inviting me on. It's been an honor.
Oh, it's an absolute pleasure. And I'm going to play people out with some beautiful music. So, see you next time.